Here it is, our new favorite. This is Explode the Code, and it's a phonics program. I'm excited to share this with you. When I first started this for my kids, I just got the workbooks because I thought that it would be a good way for us to practice phonics over the summer, and it looked like they were straightforward. The kids could pretty much just do them on their own. But I also got one of the teacher's guides because it came with them as a bundle. And so I've looked through this as well. And I really like this. My kids really like this. They actually packed up the books to take with us on a play date just for fun so that they could fill them out in the car ride there and the car ride back. And I didn't even tell them to do it that day. So that's a good sign to me. So let me explain a little bit about what I've come to understand about the program. Is at first there's levels A, B, and C, and that's where they cover letter sounds. Then there's levels 1 through 8 where it gets into older phonics and reading. So it's got different vowel sounds. It has different consonant blends. And if you use the teacher's guide, it will also go into fluency and comprehension and vocabulary and other things like that as well. So every book comes with a post test at the end. So you can gauge where your kid is at, if they're ready for the next book or not. If they're not ready for the next book, they have half books. So they can repeat the things that they've been practicing and use them again. And I would say, if they, depending on what program you use, but if you're using a different program, you just use it as workbooks and they're not really getting it, well, maybe then look into using the teacher's guide to help your kid grow in those skills. I'd like to show you inside the student workbooks 2, 3, and 4. And also inside the teacher's guide for 3 and 4. Time for a real page turner. Explode the Code, level 2, 3, 4, and then the teacher's guide for 3 and 4. So we'll start with level 2. This one my son has already been flying through, and so fast that I really haven't even had a chance to correct most of it and check it over. So ignore his writing, but this will give you an idea of how it works. Very simple instructions. Here, just circle it. It's what it starts with, so it gives you this example. And then as you go along, there'll be other types of activities. Here it is. You find the word, you circle the one that matches. Here you're repeating what the word is, and then you circle the picture that matches that word. Then you circle which is the correct word for the picture. They'll use the same image throughout for the same word. So like if this is a block, then it's block all the way through. So that's helpful. And they said that they do that throughout different levels as well. Here they'll have 2 kind of similar looking sentences, but they have to X off which one is actually correct for the picture. And then writing it at the end. So the only thing that I will say after having gone through this is that I don't see like a master list of the exact words that they're working on. So that could be helpful. I'm able to figure out stuff as I go along, but that could make it a little simpler, I think, for him. So it really follows the same pattern. I'll flip through more to the middle so that you can see. This activity here, which is throughout it, is spelling. So you do the beginning, middle, and end sounds, and then they write the word over on the right. Here, they're asking a question, and they have to answer yes or no. But you'll see that the activities really repeat. Here, it's a word bank, and then they write down which one it is. So you can see very similar activities all the way through. Simple. I love that the kids can just take this on their own and I don't have to sit there and explain a lot to them. So if you're using it just as a workbook, that can be great. Here he is right at the end. And he was so excited when I ordered book 3. He was jumping up and down. So I'm like, okay, here we go. That's always a good sign. So then here at the end, there is a post test. It does say that you need a key for the post test. But I could also see where, you could go through and talk to your kid and make sure that they're understanding stuff. Now, if it feels like they need more practice, like I said, there's the half level, so you could go to 2.5 next, or if they're flying through it, like my guy was, then you would go right on to the next one. Now, they said if you're using this as a full phonics program and you're using the teacher's guide to go along with it, that you would probably do around 3 books a year if the kid is fully understanding what they're learning. Or if they're having a harder time, there could be 1 to 2 books per year, depending on how it goes, and maybe with that using the half levels. Okay, so here you can see they're adding in some new things with the vowels, which is where they're starting. Here, again, going over some vowels where the vowel says its name. So we're doing some long vowel words here. Okay, these short 2 letters and then ending with Y. So here they do have this little bit of instruction, just this little sentence up at the top. And again, it's very similar activities. Take from the word bank, write it down, read it, answer yes or no, is that true or false, and write the word at the end. Here, they're switching from a regular to putting the silent E at the end and getting that long vowel sound. So seeing how the 2 words are similar. And then you'll see, you know, here where they're trying to kind of fool a little bit. They've got cube and they've got cub. So you can really see if your kid's understanding that concept or not as they go through. Same thing here where they're building the word. So even with that, it's so great that your kids don't have to learn a new activity for learning the words. They can just practice the activities that they've already learned, and then they're only learning the new words and practicing the new words. So I think that really streamlines it. Moving kind of into the middle of the book, here you can see, again, explaining the sound. So here they're going to circle it, whatever word comes at the beginning with CH, and here, if they hear that sound at the end of the word. Okay, and circling the correct word for the picture. Read the word, write the word, circle it. Take it from the word bank. So again, you can just see it very similar. Now, if you're doing this as a workbook to practice the skills they already have, then stay exactly where they're at or even go down a level for them. And that will help build confidence. If you're using it with a program, then I would say meet them right where they're at. Or same thing, go down a level and increase the confidence. It's never bad to do a little bit of extra and have our kids feel like they really know what they're doing. So let's get into the teacher's guide for books 3 and 4. Right here at the beginning, it's showing you what each lesson will cover. There's usually a review, or for the older levels, a link to prior knowledge. Then they talk about phonemic awareness, where they're manipulating sounds as they listen and as they speak. Then there's some phonics that they'll be practicing, vocabulary of any new words that are covered. Then they do the student pages that are in this workbook, comprehension, fluency, a little bit of writing, and other instruction that they have for different learning styles. They recommend doing it for 15 to 20 minutes. But then also, if you want this to be a full language arts curriculum, you would want to add in other things like writing, grammar, spelling, things like that. Okay, introduction, they talk about teaching phonics. This does use the Orton-Gillingham method. Here, lesson 1, they're talking about 1-syllable words that end in the long vowel, including a Y. So for the review, they'll take a piece of paper, they'll write down the first letter that they hear when you tell them these words. For the phonemic awareness, you're going to have them listen to the set of words and tell you which long vowel sound they're hearing in it. You're going to write the vowels down on the whiteboard and have them say that when the letter stands alone, it says its own name, like the letter I is I, and then write down these short words on there to show that the vowels are long when they're at the end of a short word. And then here, if it ends in a Y of a short word, it's going to be the long I sound. Then here, explaining any new vocabulary that you notice in the lesson. Now that is another thing too. So when I'm going through the lesson, I'm not sure of all the new words that they're going to be introducing. So you'd have to kind of look ahead of time and see, okay, is there anything here that I'm not sure if they would know it or not, and go over that first. And you can see here too how this could work for a group lesson like in a school, or you could also just use it for homeschool. And introducing some sight words that will also be in there, completing the student pages, and then fluency, reading back and forth to each other, comprehension, asking questions, writing out different sentences and finishing them, and then they have other activities at the bottom that they talk about. If you need a challenge, they do have some challenge stuff, and then it says that there's online resources, which I also have not looked into, so I cannot speak to those. So that's pretty much how the teacher's guide is set up. I'll flip ahead a little bit here so you can kind of get an idea of some of the things that it has in it. Here we go to lesson 6. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read more. Lesson 7. I feel like I would probably take bits and pieces of this too and maybe think about, okay, what does my son understand? What might he need a little more practice on? And kind of skip around and pick the parts to do. But I do like that I have this resource because I feel like this could be really beneficial. Or if we hit kind of a spot in the book where it's like, okay, this is something new, or he needs a little more practice on this, this would really be beneficial. Okay, and then here's for book 4. It starts off with compound words. So you can see how here it's the skills are moving forward. It follows the same lesson rhythm as you go throughout. You're definitely getting into different syllables, closed syllables, open syllables, and I'll show you in the workbook 4 too. You can see how it's moving ahead. Okay, and at the back you will have the post-test pages for each one. So here's the book 4 post-test, and then if you end up getting 4.5, there's the 4.5 post-test. And they have the same thing at the end of, for book 3. And I'm sorry that I skipped over that. Book 3 post-test, and then 3.5 post-test. So that's helpful for knowing if your kid is ready to move on, or if you need to do the half level, or perhaps just practice the skills more. All right, here are the contents for level 4. And here they'll be separating these compound words. Now here we've got even a little bit more of instruction at the beginning. So, but still, hardly nothing. This is great. This is so simple and will be easy for a kid to be able to pick up and do on their own if you are using it just as a workbook, which I love that about it. Still those same types of activities. Now here they don't have the double line with the dot in the middle, so expecting some cleaner handwriting, not needing so much help with that. Same things, we're filling in the blank, asking questions, yes or no, checking off which is the correct sentence. You can always see when a new lesson starts. The way that I've been using it right now has just been let my kids do as many pages a day as they want. And some days we do it and some days we don't. Some days we're running and that's fine. And they've just been picking it up and flying through and enjoying it. So that has been enough for us right now. But maybe when fall comes, or again, if they reach a point where, okay, they're not really understanding, then at that point I would probably introduce some of the teacher's guidebook to move ahead with them. Okay, showing open and closed syllables. Marking if they're long or short. Having some rules about where long and short might fall. They do have a test online too, so that you can see a placement test, so that you can see where your kid would be best suited to start. And then here's the post test at the end of book 4. And again, the answers are in the teacher's guidebook, but this just gives you an idea of what's there. I hope that was a helpful look inside some of these Explode the Code books. And if you try them, I hope that they are just as fun for your kids as they've been for mine. Remember that real life is messy and beautiful, and better with books. So, we found a new favorite. Oh, don't start with so. Oh no. Oh, I got book 4. Blah, blah, blah. We'll try that one more time. Without my note. Actually, with my note. There we go. And they're short. Nah, I don't know how short they are. There's an A, B, and C level, which is for letters. Come here, buddy. What's the matter? And this is really boring. Here we go. Yeah, what?
Are these normal ropes or do they have like a paper?
They're normal. Yep, they're normal rolls. You can have some. Helix, answer Mama. What? Can you close the door quietly when you come in and out? That was Tam. I know, but when you're going out, are you going to close the door quietly? Okay. Thank you. It goes into all of the phonics of... Why is this so hard? The code. This is our new favorite. What are you getting? Oh my gosh. You silly goose. She's not happy with how it's coming out. Jeez. I don't know what it is with this video. It's just never going to get done. Okay. Okay, so speaking of... Oh, and actually here at the end, teacher or parent understand if they... I don't know, this is so wordy. All right, I'm moving kind of into the middle. Give a review. Maybe I should start at the top, huh? What is the word I'm looking for? Lesson, not a habit, not a routine. Rhythm. We'll go with rhythm. So I hope that was a happy, oh my gosh. Oh, this whole video has been just so difficult for some reason. I don't know why. Okay.